Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Kaufmann. Now, let the buzz begin!
There it is. The buzz is beginning, and we are here. Episode 2 of Gotham, AFTERBUZZ TV. I'm Ryan Hooks.
Back.
Hey guys, we are back. It's good to see your faces. I missed you all week. I missed Gotham. Here we are. To my left, Monse Bolanos.
Hi.
There you go.
I thought you were gonna keep going. So I
was waiting for you to talk.
You were like in a flow.
That's how you do it. You say their name, then they talk so the fans can hear them if they're not watching the video. Monse Bolanos.
Excuse me while I punch our host.
Yeah. Joyce Ajouri.
Hello.
Hey,
it's my turn to
Steve
talk
Kaufmann.
What's up? I'm dropping gang signs.
Hey. That's how it works. Don't you guys listen to the radio?
West
Most of our
Side.
content is actually podcast radio, not YouTube video.
Again, I thought you were just gonna go.
I've
Keep
been-
going.
It's all good.
Well, now you know
we
the
got
flow.
This down.
Now we're dropping the bass.
I know, next week
bass
is in
and
it.
treble. Hey, so welcome everybody. Welcome back. How you guys doing? How's your week?
Good.
Great.
Good. Looking forward to
Everyone's
tonight.
good. I think there was a big buzz.
I googled a lot of stuff about this episode.
Yep.
To
We did
not
a lot
get
of
things-
research. I think we did research today.
To not get stuff wrong.
But
right?
before we go any farther, first off, I want to tell everyone that Gotham got a 3.2 rating, which is really good.
Woo.
It was the third most watched show on Monday.
Cool.
It went up to a 5.0 rating after the 3-day DVR ratings kicked in, which is good. However, get this. So, you know all the shows that premiered this year. There was a ton of new shows, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Guess what the number one show is on Mondays? And I don't even feel bad that Gotham lost to this.
Dancing with the Stars.
No, Dancing with the Stars was like 7th.
Scorpion?
Below Gotham. Big Bang Theory
Well,
crushed it with like a 7.9. They had 2 episodes, 8 and 8:30, and they were 1 and 2. Gotham was number 3, so that's really like Gotham's number 1.
I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
Gotham's
true.
the
I was gonna
number
say, I
one
don't know how I feel
drama.
about the number 1 spot. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well,
but-
it's like, and it's weird too because really Big Bang Theory was 2 episodes, so like their 8 o'clock episode and their 8:30 episode were more watched than Gotham, but nothing else in relation to Scorpion and Forever and Dancing with the Stars and all the other shows that came out, which is awesome. So
That's awesome.
That's great
Go
for the fan base.
Gotham.
Yeah, and they had a big jump in the DVR watching, so people that DVR didn't watch it in the next 3 days.
Good.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Keep it up. Keep watching them. Keep watching us. Hey, I want to talk about YouTube for a minute.
oh yeah.
Hey, so first off, I have a correction to make
loved
from
it.
last week's
Yeah.
episode. No, I'm not going. Ben McKenzie was actually on Southland, which is the show I was trying to
Yes.
think of, and he was on there for a couple weeks. So thanks for all that information. And I'm gonna go ahead and apologize now and just get this out of the way. I kept talking last week about Batgirl, thinking Barbara Keene, Barbara Gordon. So Barbara Keene, who we know, later has a child with Jim Gordon, who becomes Barbara Gordon, who becomes Batgirl.
When Batman
Now
is
we know.
around.
Yes.
Years from
Now we know.
which explains everything.
Not to be confused
That
with
is my,
Batwoman.
I
Yeah.
feel stupid, but I think I will never ever forget that.
Right.
Yeah.
If I do, I'll go back and read one of the 100 comments on YouTube.
We kept getting tweets about it. We kept
Yes.
getting
was-
comments about it.
but
We're
thank you
like-
everyone for
Yeah, yeah.
tweets and commenting.
No,
we appreciate you.
We asked for
Yes.
the knowledge. If you guys got some knowledge, throw it our way.
Drop it in.
It's
so
okay.
yeah, thanks to Mark W for the support. Dane Alves. Also, Andrew Fedge talked about how much he loved Selina Kyle last week. So I'm interested to know what you thought
Yes.
this
Yeah.
week. You know, we got a lot of Selina Kyle. Ricky Lango made a comment about a book called Killing Joker because we had the comments about the Joker and whether or not that was him, and there was a bunch of references he made in there. Chris MC, what up? Black Butterfly 447 was talking about the old school, new school vibe that we talked about.
Yeah.
And also that it's going to have a lot of good lessons for Jim Gordon. So I think that's a good prediction, and we're looking forward to that.
So
Thanks, Black
excited.
Butterfly 447. Nicole Thomas was talking about Alfred, which I was cool because we got more
Yeah.
Alfred this week as
Yes.
well. Survivor 2002 was giving his shout outs and input on Bruno Heller, who is our writer, producer, director guy. And he is awesome. You know, he did all the great shows. And also Patrick Conlon, thanks. I got one more. Are you ready? So this one is like kind of cool, and I was like, I gotta talk about this one. So Lee Carmen made a comment about in the scene where Jim and Bullock were in the cafe, and they come in and they're trying to get the case, and they say no, and they leave, and the guy commented to him, "You're being kind of frosty." That could be Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a good catch.
Drops.
I didn't even
Drops
think
it
about
out.
that.
Just like drops my.
I don't even remember that line, to be perfectly
I
honest with
actually
you.
remembered it.
I remembered it, but it could also just mean you're being kind of frosty.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
But
That is
in
an
this,
old-timey figure of speech.
but in this world, in this show, like you have to kind of question all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I remember every name I heard in this episode, I looked up as soon as I could, just to see if there was any connection with the stories that already exist.
IMDb is your friend.
Yes.
Also, someone left a comment about how we were speculating that the comedian was the Joker, and they were saying that there was an article written about how the network is kind of like auditioning to find the perfect Joker by having
How do I
Fish
sign
Mooney
up?
audition for different Jokers. So it's kind of like a meta way of kind of messing with us to see like who's going to be the Joker, who we're going to choose, because they're going to have different comedians audition to be the comedian in Fish Mooney's club as time goes on. So
How do I sign up? I got jokes.
I didn't do that much research.
I got jokes for days. I mean, that I wouldn't be surprised if there's there could be a contest for that. I mean, there's contests for everything.
That would be
these days.
really cool. Look it up, man.
There's like model Instagram contests, and like you can,
Yeah.
heck, you can get jobs on Craigslist these days and be famous. Who knows?
Have you checked
Done
Craigslist?
that. Been
I
there,
do
done
They,
that.
they might be looking for this guy on Craigslist.
I
I think we need to check Craigslist
the
tonight.
next Craigslist killer.
Right now.
Oh God.
All right, let's talk about Gotham episode 2, titled Selina Kyle. But I'm not going to talk about Selina Kyle yet. We're going to wait for that for a minute. I want to talk about our good friend, Mr. Cobblepot.
Yes.
I like that they kind of are intertwining him still through the story. And I see him developing as our first villain. I think
Definitely.
that's pretty straightforward. Because he's hitchhiking down the street and he gets picked up by a couple of frat boys. Andy Stripe and Nick Roberger were their names.
I
also.
feel so bad for them.
I know. No.
As much as I hated them at first, I was
did
like,
Yeah.
because
I mean-
I was really sympathizing with Cobblepot. I was like, oh, I feel bad for him. Like we were talking about last week, like we still feel for him and we feel sorry for him, but really he's turning into this evil, insane man. And then I started feeling bad for the teenagers or the frat boys or whatever.
But immediately, because they're just like they're being dumb bros, but that doesn't mean you
that's
should
it.
Get,
They're
you should
empty
you should
in
get
there.
stabbed.
They are empty in there. They were perfectly typecast. Well, it's interesting because I feel like at this point, Cobblepot isn't Penguin yet. He's
No.
like still on that border of where he's humane at some points, but at the same time he's can break, because he didn't really go crazy. He's like, I'm here with my new friends, having a beer, we're hanging out. And then he's like, dude, you walk like a penguin.
And he just snapped.
Do you think that was him testing them? Do you think he? 'Cause
No.
I mean,
No.
I think, he
I
was
think it
happy
was
to be picked
genuine.
up.
Yeah.
even after they were like
Screwing with him and
Screwing
not
with
letting him
him?
get in the
Yeah.
car. I think I thought he was genuine, and then it's just the name Penguin triggers something in
Yeah.
his brain, and he's like,
I
Well,
guess like his
especially-
mom said, he's naive too, so that
And
definitely has a
especially
lot to do
because
with
I
it.
think he sees what Fish Mooney did to him as a bit of a betrayal. And then you saw it throughout the entire bar. Like, she never called him Cobblepot. She always called him Penguin. Like, now in this episode, that I think he sees the word penguin, people calling him Penguin, as a sign of that betrayal. So that might make him, like,
like
be
a
a
trigger
got
word.
Be a
conditioned.
mental
Yeah,
trigger.
he got
Yeah.
conditioned to feel that way.
So don't
Dude,
call
shout
him
out to
Penguin.
Carol Kane, by the way, making a little cameo as Gertrude.
She was
Capelpult.
She was
Capelpult.
cool.
yeah.
She was really
A
cool.
little crazy. She got interrogated by Alan and Montoya. All right, yeah. Anyway, and so he kills the one, kidnaps the other, rents out a trailer, his new headquarters. He steals their truck. He tries to sell them, basically for money.
Or I think just one. I think he killed
I'm sorry,
one.
sell the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did kill the
Kill-
one.
And then the mom doesn't even believe him. So he's
That's
like, he's
awesome.
definitely not a villain yet, because nobody even believes that he's scary.
Yeah.
So I have a question, though, in relation to him as the villain. So there was some debate on YouTube as well about the casting of him. And I do like his look, and it's believable to me. But some people think of a penguin character more someone who's a little more short, a little more round, you know, I guess rotund, if you will.
Yeah, and I saw this too, like in our comments as well, and I always have to justify it by saying this is the writer's take on these characters, at least in the origin stories, and they're not there yet. All these villains, all these superheroes that we're getting introduced to, they're not there yet. So
This isn't Tim Burton.
Yeah, and like anything could happen. over the course of this story and this world, and he might not be the chubby fat penguin that we're so in tune with. It might just be.
Yeah.
I would love a Danny DeVito cameo though.
To show up. I feel like
be
he
cool.
would. Like that, Danny DeVito would totally do that.
I feel like Danny DeVito, if he hasn't been asked, is calling them.
I bet,
he would
yeah.
get in.
He's like on his phone with his agent manager, like, you guys better get me on that damn show.
Just like he did with Philadelphia.
Like,
Why not?
This is awesome. Can I just
hang out? Can I hang out? He'd do it for free just to come hang out.
Can I just be a detective that tries to get him and then get shot right away? That'd be awesome.
One episode.
One episode.
No lines, just like, wow, there's Danny DeVito. Shot.
I think fans would like that actually.
I think
like
it'd be
that's
awesome.
that's the kind of thing that like fans just go crazy for.
Oh yeah.
Like I love watching movies and like then you see these things that they put in for fans. It's like, oh yeah, that was really awesome. Like in the X-Men Origins movie, the first one or the First Class, when they were asking Wolverine to like come be in the X-Men, he's like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
He's in there for like 30 seconds. I mean, that's just
Or in,
that's
the,
fine.
in that first Hulk movie we don't talk about, where Lou Ferrigno's working at a desk.
The Eric Bana one?
No, the Edward Norton one.
Oh no, the Eric Bana one's the first one.
Well, but you're right. The first one that's a part
As
of the
part
mythos.
of the okay.
It's part of the mythos, but we don't talk about that actor.
No.
Like
Yeah.
everything else is
Well, if he
canon.
wasn't an asshole, he would have been in the next movie.
Well, yeah.
And they did a good job recasting. So,
right.
listen, in Hollywood, you never know if you're going to get recast. So be nice
True.
to everyone.
For real.
For real.
Hashtag for real.
Okay, so anyway, we kind of don't get a whole lot of his story, but he is mentioned again, too, because we get a little scene with Fish Mooney and her club. And we also got Falcone, who shows up, who's in and knows all this information about her trying to make her move. Do you think it's going to happen soon? Do you think that's like we have 16 episodes in this season. We're in 2. At what episode does Fish Mooney make her move?
8.
Oh my God, you read my mind.
Just 8.
Is there a mid-season finale?
Is that the
then?
formula for series?
Right
Is it
now,
the
but
arc?
I think that has to be the midway arc that she.
Yeah.
And it has to be like the next of those 8. It's like, oh, we're building up, and then 8. This is gonna be this big bloody war, and then it doesn't go how you'd like it, and then she has to spend 8 episodes like recouping,
Fixing it.
and then it's like. It's not her, it's somebody else fighting for the rest of the city, and then like the end
Or does it arc and dip down a little bit and then go back up?
yeah, like that's
Yeah.
that she's gonna. I think she's gonna make a move by 8. She's gonna fail, and then other people are gonna fight for the city, and then she's gonna recoup off screen, and then she's just gonna come back at the end.
Making moves.
We're already to
Possibly.
predictions, I guess.
We're not even getting that far. I'm just posing questions that I want answers to. And I it's interesting to me with this whole information that we get from Falcone about the fact that because of the Wayne's death, that it's affecting business and
Yes.
like that they were a part of all this.
I feel like they were complacent or silently complacent. Like I think they were aware of a criminal element, and
The Waynes?
the Waynes were, and they decided to either turn a blind eye to it or otherwise.
When they said they're in the same neighborhood, same
Yeah, like-
house,
Yeah.
So basically, them turning the blind eye is them being a part of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
We get a little Maroney
Yeah.
information there as well.
oh yeah.
I know in the stories, Batman or Bruce Wayne's dad saved Falcone's father's life, I think in surgery. I could be wrong, but one of the Falcones he saved because he was a doctor, and with that they kind of had this sort of alliance, and they understood each other as families and just sort of let each other do their own thing. So
One good, one bad.
yeah.
I mean, okay. Moving right along. Also, hey, quick shout outs to our good friend Laszlo, who got beat up just for being a bartender and giving Fish Mooney her exercise.
He's
Michelangelo
coming back.
Michelangelo Milano.
He's coming back.
Who?
Laszlo. Yes.
Michelangelo Maloney. All right. I just wanted to. I like to shout out to like the actors who have one episode appearances.
Yes.
Because, it's like their moment. Like that's huge. Like if I had one episode on Gotham, like I would be like wanting everyone to talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, even us.
Yeah.
Even us ruining it, talking bad things. All right. So in this episode 2, we get a little bit of more of Bruce Wayne,
Yeah.
which is nice. Cute kid.
do.
Yeah. A little creepy.
He's training himself
Yeah.
to withstand pain.
I like the comments that he make. He's like,
starting early.
I'm not hurting myself. I'm training myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one thing that really caught my attention though, when so Alfred comes to Gordon and says, "Hey, I need you to come talk to him. He respects you. I need help." And basically, Alfred is saying he's not going to do anything against Mr. Wayne's wishes for raising him. He wants him to make his own choices. But the thing that really caught my ear when I was listening to the show is when Bruce said to Gordon, I've been following your adventures in the newspaper. Not like your stories, not the drama, your adventures. He sees them as like an adventure.
Yeah, like you're doing what I would like to do if I were not 8.
Yeah, if I was a little bit older,
True.
I would like to go on these adventures and
I would
get all vigilante. Foreshadowing, maybe?
Dun,
Bum,
dun,
bum,
dun.
bum.
Who's to say?
Also, the one thing I found awesome about Alfred when he was saying how I want to do it how Mr. Wayne said, he also said very clearly no psychiatrists, which led me to believe that maybe Bruce knows something that he doesn't, that he's under strict instructions to not tell anyone else. That it's like no psychiatrists because psychiatrists are legally have to tell the cops if a kid tells them information that would lead to
that's a very good point.
understanding how the city's corrupt.
And in this we get to the old Arkham Asylum that's closed, which we
Yes.
know is later reopened.
Right.
So
What?
Arkham Asylum is where all the criminals go?
Spoiler alert.
I mean, there is a whole video game all about Arkham.
So good.
Two.
So
They're
good.
awesome.
So good. So good. Anyway, back to Alfred and Bruce. So yeah, that is a good point that he might know some information that we don't know yet.
I
Or
didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that I think James Gordon's going to pretty much act as a psychiatrist to Bruce Wayne, like throughout this entire series. That they're just going to sit and talk.
Yeah.
They're just
be
gonna,
friends,
He'll
hang
be
out.
Gordon will be the only one who can get anything out of Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
For sure.
Even though Alfred's like a kind of a badass.
yeah.
He seemed kind of bipolar at the beginning when
Yeah,
he's like,
like-
"What are you doing?" And then he hugs him. He's like, "It's okay."
I think I looked at you. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah, like-
I felt the same way. I was weird about that.
I was like, I'm confused.
Because it was a
Yeah.
complete 180. That it was just like, oh, you stupid kid. I love you. I'm sorry.
But like,
it's like, what?
like Alfred said earlier, he's like, I've never had a kid before. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's just as lost as Bruce might be feeling right now. So I get his random switches and moods
Yeah.
and tone and everything. It's hard
I have
time
a friend
for Pennyworth.
that's like a die-hard Batman fan, and he absolutely hated Alfred. Like, he
Ooh.
told me for 30 minutes. He was like, you don't get it. He's Australian. He's this. He's that. He's like, no,
he's Sean Pertwee. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he just didn't like the way, I guess, he's portraying Alfred. He's like, I don't care about the military aspect of it because he's, very serious and very all that. But he's like, the way he treats him, it's like he should love him. Like, that's gonna be his, his son essentially. So he hated
Well,
it.
and I think that this does do for us is if we hate him right now, it gives us the ability for Alfred to grow on us and with us because he doesn't know anything about raising children either. So like this is his first time and he's like learning with Bruce.
And then
the next segment, learning with Bruce. And so they're growing together.
He could change, just like every other character in this show. He could do another complete 180. But I don't hate this interpretation of Alfred.
I don't either.
I didn't hate
really,
it. Yeah.
No, yeah. I'm just saying, like, I know people might have qualms with the way he's portrayed right now, but I like it. It's a different take, and I definitely appreciate it.
when does his niece Alicia Silverstone show up?
That's all I care about.
I'm waiting. I thought it would
Oh,
happen
you
by now.
guys.
I'm just saying. I mean, we do have Barbara right now though, and that's just fine.
That's enough.
That's just fine for right now. So I want to ask a question now, and I'm probably going to piss some people off by asking this question.
Then please ask it.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, immediately. One of the things that I was talking about with some people via the interweb is right now we like Jim Gordon. Jim Gordon is a relatable character. We know he's doomed to fail. We know everything's happening, and we see this kind of attitude with him and that look in his eye that he has. Do you think that there is limited growth potential for Jim Gordon with this particular actor as Jim Gordon and this setup that they're giving him? Like, I feel like Alfred, we're talking about growth, there's a lot of window for him to become a different person. I feel like Jim is sort of a narrow character, and he's bottlenecked in the way they're writing him that potentially...
That's a good question.
Well, in short, no. I think where Jim Gordon's narrow is that is what's going to make him act as just a compass for us to go through Gotham and reveal things.
And this is targeted both at Jim Gordon and also at Ben McKenzie as an actor.
I mean, a lot of things happen in his storyline. I mean, just based on in the comics, like he's going to divorce Barbara if that's the direction they take with this show, and something will happen, in his life aside from that, that'll kind of make him harden a little more or do something a little differently. I mean, he's kind of, you kind of see him being corrupt by necessity in the GCPD. Like in this episode, he, I forget which instance exactly, but I feel like he's gonna grow a little bit more in terms of being a little more corrupt than he wants to be, because he has to be.
And that brings me to my favorite line in this week's episode. Captain Essen said, "If you don't bend, you break."
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. That was a good line. I really liked that.
Anyway,
I wrote
continue.
that
I'm sorry.
down.
Go on. Tell us more.
That's kind of it. But I had another question kind of in line with that, and I was reading about this online too, is people are speculating, you know, or not speculating, but worried about what's the point of having a GCPD show if maybe the goal of this show is going to be the advent of Batman. Like, is Batman really going to be needed if GCPD is solving all the crimes?
I read I think Gawker did it. I think
Yeah.
it was Gawker
Yeah,
did that
that's where I
article
read
that
it.
was that I saw that a lot on Facebook, and I had a heated discussion with my friends that I think this is a show. This show's about Gotham where the bad guys always win, and that's why Gotham's gonna need Batman, because all Jim Gordon is gonna do is he's gonna have small victories to ultimately understand that Gotham is a place where you just can't win.
Yeah.
Like,
And again, like, anything could happen over time. The villains go in and out of jail, in and out of Arkham Asylum. Like, Batman's going to be needed to do all the bigger, badder, villainous
So at what
duties.
point does Jim Gordon start failing? Because so far we're 2 episodes in and he's succeeded both times.
Well, I think he's going to start failing soon. Like, I'm not expecting him to constantly be winning or having success in all this, but when he starts to fail, I don't think it's going to be anything major. It's going to be little failures here and there that are going to get him through.
well,
There's got to
because
be a huge failure at some point, though.
Right,
That would
but
be
it's too
interesting.
soon for
but
that.
the
Yeah.
corruption
Yeah.
is so big that he's not even
Denting it.
not
Exactly.
even that high up to fail that high.
And,
Exactly.
And it's interesting, as we were watching the episode this week, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but it's relevant to the point. As we were watching the episode, and the mayor thanks them for saving the kids the first time, and then they put them on the bus. My immediate thought was, "Oh my gosh, is the mayor corrupt? Is he in on this?"
Me too.
Like
That's what I
immediately, I was like, "What? What is going on?" And then he's like,
Yeah.
was mad about it.
Right.
So it brought me back.
He's just misinformed. I think he's just a misinformed politician.
He's an oaf.
Just a little bit, just
yeah.
a well-meaning, misinformed, trying to become governor mayor. If I can just keep my note, if I can be the mayor of Gotham and not be ousted as the mayor of Gotham,
I think his
could probably
image
be governor.
is more important than what he actually does.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't fail too bad, then
Yeah.
it's
or
a win.
look like he's
That's,
failing.
that's literally like being the mayor of Chicago. That's historically, if you're the mayor of Chicago and don't get ousted, you're all right.
You're doing great.
You're doing great.
You're in. You're
I
soon to be a governor.
Yeah. I served
And
two
then you end up in the
terms.
governor of Illinois, and then somebody has a scandal, and then you become president.
Yeah.
I mean, follow that train of thought.
Ugh, politics.
I'm staying out of that one because that's a whole story with that whole affair thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like that's crazy because that could have been a whole different history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go back to Gotham.
Yes, please.
All right. Can I just tell you how excited I was this week about Patty and Doug? More so Patty, because Patty's played by Lily Taylor, who I just did an entire podcast of a show called Almost Human. She played Detective Maldonado in the show Almost Human that goes canceled after one season on Fox. So I'm glad they threw her a bone and brought her back in, because she was like this hard ass detective, captain, and now she's playing this sort of fun Harry Potter-ish character.
Sane character.
Crazy. Oh dear, how silly. So that brings us to our plot, basically our main arcing plot of this week's episode. Patty and Doug are snatching children, mostly homeless people and kids and such, to be delivered to somebody we like to call the doll maker.
Ooh.
Doll maker.
I had to say that all dramatic. Which we don't, I mean, if people know, they know, but there isn't any context to the doll maker or what that means yet in the Gotham world. So we'll leave it at that. We're not going to have the discussion where I say things that are wrong. Because I don't.
Well, I will say there are 3 doll makers in the stories. They each have different things that they've done. I don't know which one is going to be in this Gotham story, but they're all equally as bad and terrible and disgusting and really, really gruesome and dark. So we'll find out.
Well, all right.
Another dun dun dun.
Yeah.
And basically, they're setting up this plot to kidnap kids by saying they're, protecting homeless people, feeding homeless people. So they have stolen a truck. They're using drugs called ATP a little cameo by Kyle Massey from the Disney Channel as Mackie
Yeah.
coming out. Kudos to him.
It's like, I know that
He's
kid.
like stepping up into the real world of acting now. Like
Yeah.
Disney Channel's done.
Yeah.
He's too old now.
He's still, well, never mind. I thought for a second I thought this was ABC, but not.
No, he's still funny. He's a funny kid. I've seen a lot of shows on him, and I always laugh when he's on there. Then he had a little attitude this week, and I like that Bullock was like, "I'm gonna beat you up," and it's like, really, like he's like a little kid, you can't beat him up. Come on now, get your head in the game. So basically, they're using these drugs, and they're putting them on needles and pinpricking their necks to basically make them pass out. Of course, Selina Kyle, our main character this week, sees it and escapes again, dodges the bullet. How long till Selina Kyle doesn't escape?
I think she's going to be working pretty close with James Gordon from now on.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think he's going to let her go.
She'll be protected for a very long time.
Like,
but
I don't think she's going to be lurking anymore.
there's got to be something out of Jim Gordon's control where she's going to get in trouble and just get caught and taken somewhere, or something's gonna. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
This has nothing to do with this. I was just gonna say she does not look 13 to me. When they
feel
said that was her age, I was like, what?
Well, and it's funny. I feel that way all the time. Like, I see pictures of her, and there's some pictures where she looks like a 13-year-old girl. She looks like a small child, and there's pictures of her. And there are some pictures of her on her IMDb and stuff where she looks like she's like 28.
I know.
And it's
Yeah.
like, man, wow.
But that's good for this character because
Yes.
she is, what's the word I'm
Wise and
looking for?
aged.
Mature.
I mean, mature in a sense. I mean, she's
Street
gone through
mature.
a lot. You can see she has a lot of street sense, and she lost her mother, even though she's saying her mother's not dead. She's
Right.
somewhere. I mean, she has some sort of, I don't know what the word is. I'm lost with the word.
Some wisdom in her eyes. Is
Something
that what
like
you're saying?
that.
To me, I was like 13. No, 16.
I knew she was really young.
She's world weary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she understands. She's not naive.
She has beautiful eyes,
gets
too.
it.
Yeah.
Well done on the casting.
She's a cute girl.
She's
So
super
Carmen
cute.
Bacanova is her. We'd love to get her on the couch, right?
Yes, please.
I know. So speaking of which, if you enjoy our AfterBuzz podcast and you would love to see guests on the couch, let us know. We are working on getting guests now. I've actually been in contact with a couple of people from the Gotham network here that we can hopefully get in and interview for all you guys out there. So if you have somebody you'd really like to see, what you should do is you should tweet at one of us and them at AfterBuzz TV, and we will just blow up the internet.
We'll do it.
Pretty
until
much.
they come in here.
Yes.
Basically.
And tweet at the person you know with the most followers. Tweet at us
And have them
AfterBuzz
retweet.
TV, the person you know with the most followers.
We'll start a whole
And
campaign.
the person you want on this couch.
Yeah.
That's the recipe.
That's the formula to getting attention on Twitter.
It's
That's
true.
pretty much.
That's how it's done.
It includes the four of us.
And includes the four of us. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so speaking of which, shout outs to Andrew Scott Jones, who I've been having some conversations with on Twitter.
Cool.
And also our Captain Essien, who told me that because I was so worried about butchering her name. She's like, you did a great job. So Sabrina, Sabrina, it's good to see you. See, I'm just gonna stop now while I'm ahead. It's getting hot in here.
I'm dying.
Woo! Heating up real fast. Hey, speaking of which, while you're tweeting at everyone, why don't you go to our iTunes as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
And rate us.
Give us 5 stars. Tell us how awesome we are.
Say
Leave comments.
something nice.
I mean, or don't say anything at all.
Just say 5 stars.
Just say 5 stars and that's it. Anyway, yeah, the great thing about that, though, is we did the show for free because we like doing the show and talking about Gotham. And we like talking to you guys. It makes us, like, internet searchable, and it makes us prevalent on the iTunes neighborhood, which is good for AfterBuzz, which is good for you, which is good for us. So it's like win, 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 win with a 5-star rating.
Boom.
We had like 8,000 people watch our podcast last week.
That's
So
really.
thank you to everyone for tuning in.
That's really
Well, that was-
surprising.
that was
good
the
news.
YouTube, I
yeah.
think. That was
Yeah,
just
just on-
YouTube.
just on
Like,
YouTube.
The people listening to us, I would assume, is way more.
Yeah.
Usually.
They don't give us these numbers, guys.
Just keep watching.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
just
all-
keep.
And rate.
And
That's all I can
listening.
say.
And tweet.
If
Definitely
millions
tweet.
of you listen, I think they'll tell us.
I mean,
Do that.
yes, if you tweet us, we will comment.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get back to Patty and Doug. As we watched this week's episode, and Steve, you were saying it was too easy at first because the kids were like captured and they're like, oh, there's only 3 pharmaceutical companies that sell
Yeah.
ATP, and let's just go check the first one they go to.
The first one they go to, they find the kids, and then we're at that commercial break, and we're fast forwarding. I'm like, well, there's a whole other half of episode.
Something-
to
yeah,
happen.
something crazy
So
has
this
to
rabbit
happen.
hole's got to go deeper.
Yeah.
Always. To me, it was weird that they just didn't see the truck out front
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they ran out the front door after the shootout and drove away in the big truck that they were looking for.
Yeah.
Maybe it was in a garage that they pulled out of quickly that we didn't see.
I think Bullock ran away and then James was there. I think that's how that happened. That it was only one cop, not two cops? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
So I have a question then in relation to this week's episode and the ease of the solutions to the crimes. Do you feel, since we know that the show is going to get deeper in terms of the failures and the Gotham getting crazy, are some of these early victories that we're seeing really not important? Like the storylines, because like I feel like the whole aspect of this child snatching crime aspect was really a big part of the plot, but at the same time it was like really not the stuff that we cared that much. I mean, we cared about it, but
it's like we were hearing about the doll maker, but we didn't hear enough about the doll maker, what he was going to do with these kids. And it's kind of like left us hanging at the end of the episode.
But these are the kind of victories Gordon will always have.
Right.
And these are the kind of moral troubles he'll always have to face, which like early on there's like 30, 50 kids that have been snatched up. Don't tell the press. Yeah. It's like, well, and like he constantly has to face like, well, that's the correct thing to do is to call the press.
Right. But it's interesting because like
get pressure.
As a viewer, that there was 35 minutes of the storyline that was like, but then there was like 5 minutes of Cobblepot, which was awesome, and then there was like 8 to 10 minutes of Selina Kyle, which was even better.
Yeah.
You know, and these little things that are way more important to the big arc of the story to me, and what I want to see more of as a viewer and a fan, than this whole story with him kind of catching a little criminal.
Well, but
so you don't like that they're focusing on Jim Gordon.
But it sounds like the doll maker is going to be a bigger part later
Hopefully.
on, and
they're just setting us up.
And then if we have another story like that next week, that's tied into somebody else who becomes a bigger story later on. At every episode, they'll feel like bottled episodes, but over time, it'll just web together. That's my hope.
Yeah, like it all just
and that's what we talked about last
end
week.
in one focal point.
And who wants to watch a show where a bunch of kids die?
True.
I'm not game for that show.
Listen, you can't kill kids in TV or movies. It's
Really
like
can't.
it's an unspoken rule. I worked on a horror movie one time and they killed a kid and they're like, "What's like the people don't do this and we're doing it for shock value."
Yeah.
But it was like the director's kid and he's like a famous makeup artist and he was like, "It's my kid, I can do what I want." So anyway, that was I just wondered if you felt that way and then we talked about this. Was the show going to be serialized or was it going to be more, week to week, or how are they going to flow it?
It seems like now it's a little more serialized. I mean, we've been talking about for the past few minutes. Dollmaker is going to come back. We're going to see him. Like we're going to know more as time goes by because that hasn't been resolved. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be the villain of the week formula right now.
It's not the Smallville formula, if you will.
Which was successful for quite a long time.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but that's what TV was back then. Like
it's so interesting how TV's changed so much.
Well, because if you I remember I tried to watch an old episode of The X-Files on Netflix, and it was like season 3, and they kept going out of their way in the dialogue to explain that like, oh well, she's a skeptic and he believes, and like it's season 3. Shouldn't everyone watching by now know all this? And then I forgot like that's not how TV was back then.
Yeah.
Like, TV even in the late 90s was very much you can miss a week.
Yeah.
You can't have anything too deep happen.
We're getting too smart for our own damn good, apparently. Technology is ruining us.
Well, and then we have the cliffhanger of Falcone versus Mooney, and we don't know when that's going to expand and grow, and how that's going to pan out. So that's
and if all these villains we hear about are going to be part of it, not a part of it.
That's what we don't know because they talk about all these people that they're wanting to explore. Like that's a lot of television. That's a big list.
Are they going to be on either side of this issue? Or are they going to sit it out and it's just going to be men fighting?
The thing too that is interesting is once a character is introduced, do they fade away or do they stay in view? So if we have a villain that comes in, and you say we have a Penguin and he doesn't die, if he's not in Arkham, if he's just on the loose, does he randomly show up again?
Well, isn't that the beauty of leaving them hanging?
I was just gonna say, I was like, you can leave them hanging. They can occasionally come back.
Yeah. Just adds for more.
They could go to Metropolis.
Of an option for the writers.
They could go to Metropolis and we just never see them for a season.
If I don't see them dying on the screen, if I don't actually believe that their pulse has stopped, they're gonna come back.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously that's always the case with any TV show, but like, when is there a point then where it becomes too much? Where it's like, oh, I've got 15 villains roaming around here. We need a hero.
Oh wait, he's 8.
Well, we'll see what happens.
And I mean, and it's going to be a slow, I think, introduction of some of these characters.
I agree.
Because if we have this whole Falcone thing with Mooney, where that's going to be their major focus in the crime syndicate in Gotham, and the characters that are sort of around it or involved with it at some point, because we see a lot of characters that do interact with Falcone. We see Joker will later interact with them, other characters. Is there a point that's too much?
Yeah.
That's all I'm wondering.
Maybe.
I'm just pondering. I'm just posing those questions that maybe don't have answers.
But the universe they created seems vast enough that enough of those characters can go away and stay out of the focus week to week, that it'll never feel overwhelming.
Yeah, they don't have to come back week after week,
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
But you're right. It could be too much if that's what happens with every single one of them. But maybe that's not what's gonna happen.
Then I just see like Jim Gordon on the street, like fighting 15 like villains, like and he's like punching them, like pow, wham,
With the big
yeah,
bubbles.
oh yeah, you have to have the big explanation
I
words,
love it.
wham, pow,
Biff. Wait, what?
bam.
Is that not Biff? That's
Biff.
not a thing.
Bam.
Just look out.
I mean, sorry, I threw out a Bamf, which is not from Batman. No, that's actually the Nightcrawler noise. That's literally like that's what it would say when he like disappeared. So pow was my word. Blowing up in here. All right, let's get back to Patty and Doug, since we didn't even finish talking about that. We're sidetracked by all this other fun craziness going on in here. So I loved the fact that they came back. Like after the kids were like, oh yeah, we're sending them to the Corrections Institute upstate. And then they're like, hey, here we are.
Yeah.
And of course they're on the bus that Selina's on too. Not one of the other 3 buses.
Just hers.
Just
hers.
Selina trying to get off the bus.
Convenient. So my first thought was, why didn't you just go out the back door and lift the handle?
Well,
But
tried that.
It was locked.
Yeah.
Well played, bus driver. Well played. That's what I would have done, though. Was my very first thought. Was just, even when I got on the bus, I would just like went straight to the back door and walked out the back.
Yeah.
Or just tried.
But they had a gun too.
Well,
So
right. Yeah. I am a little concerned with how easily she got off the bus, though, afterwards, when she was hiding under the seats. And
she's using her cat-like skills.
She seems particularly
her
skilled.
Agility.
I mean,
I'm assuming she's been on the streets for a long time.
Yeah.
And she said she was in upstate juvie before that she probably learned a lot of stealth.
or clawing people's eyes out.
Yeah.
Did anyone else think that was the cool part, too?
That was
That was pretty sweet.
I'm glad they showed it. I was like, are they going to show it? Are they going to show
his
it?
eyes clawed out.
It's Fox. They have to show it.
I loved
a
it.
lot worse than I thought.
Yeah.
It was good.
I was like,
It was good.
Yeah.
I did like the little comment, though, too. She's like, oh, you're going to be fine. It's just a scratch. Click.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Poor guy is like, what's happening?
What was that noise?
Oh, that's terrible.
That's a great way to die, I think,
He had no
Blind.
idea. It was awesome.
personally.
That's true.
All right, so in the scene, too, one of the characters we didn't talk about before, Wayne Duvall, whose name we never actually got, but he is the guy that basically runs the medical pharmaceutical companies, getting a kickback to give the ATP to them, and he gets captured. I'm sorry, scratch that. The actor is Wayne Duvall.
Yes.
There we go. The actual character's name is Maury Quillen. I like he's getting beat up and like see the scene earlier where Gordon stops him from beating up people and he's like, he doesn't care anymore. You're gonna sell innocent children. You deserve to get beat up.
Yeah.
And he's just like smacking him with a phone book.
With the phone book, yeah.
I love that.
Like what else? Who needs to waste?
That's
your
like the
fist?
least violent way a bullet can abuse somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have a phone book in the booth right now, so
Hey.
I'm just throwing it out there. There's
She
one in
needs
here.
it.
I literally, when I was like one of these? I was about to
You should pull it out right now. Here's what it is. Don't. Oh, now you're gonna.
And then I go down. See, guys?
Monse
Look at
sitting on a
this.
phone book.
Monty's sitting on
Look
the
at
phone
this.
because
This
he's
is
too
why I
short
sit
next to
on
me.
this.
Now you can hit me with it. You can sit on it again if you want.
No,
I
ain't
didn't
nobody
mean
got
to-
time.
I
It's a
didn't mean to-
mission.
I
It's
feel
a
like,
mission.
hold on, I'll drop my chair down. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
There we go. Now we're the same height.
Friendship.
again. My like feet are dragging on the floor now.
Okay. Okay. No exageres.
Moving right along. So it's interesting though that Selina is smart enough to continuously ask for Jim Gordon. I almost said asked because the way ask for Jim Gordon, and she's like, I want to talk to Jim Gordon. I want to talk to Jim Gordon. Listen, I need Jim Gordon. So she has been watching him, as she said, and we see that because she's
always there in the
aware,
crime scene.
always
Yeah.
hiding
When
out.
he's observing and
Yeah.
taking notes.
How does she always know where to go?
She's there.
Well, obviously, but like people are just randomly dying on the street.
But she has instinct, cat-like instincts. Like at the opening scene when they're offering the kids food,
Doesn't
a
go.
dog
No.
would go straight to the food. A cat would stay back and look at the situation.
It's the same reason
Is
why people
this-
don't like cats.
I love cats.
Exactly. No, but it's so true. When I was watching, I was like, man, she's a cat, like a dog. You know what I mean? Instantly would trust, so loyal, instantly just wants to be a friend to anyone. Cats, they're so hesitant. They
Yeah.
don't trust anyone unless it's like their owner or they know. But like,
It's true.
she has an instinct, so that's how she's always around.
And the dog was barking at her, which was like a funny
That
little
was a
Yeah.
nice little nod.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, you're a cat because the dog barks at you and doesn't like you. That is a good point, though, that in terms of her instinct that she uses and always is aware of what's going on and very skeptical and hesitant about all that.
Yeah.
So definitely will help her, I think, in the future. Basically, she escapes. That's what we need to know. Goes back to Jim Gordon because she doesn't want to leave and go to the juvenile detention center. I love that she's like, this is the best part, when she was sitting on the bench with the other guards, like playing everybody.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I'm gonna tell everybody you touched me if you don't get me Jim Gordon. I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna
3 seconds.
like I'm
3
just
seconds.
13-year-old girls.
She knows how to do it.
Yeah.
I commend her for it. I'm sorry. It's a cool. She's a cool character. I'm
I
a
agree.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice that she got to talk this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her first line was 2/3 of the way through the episode, 2 episodes in.
I was like, how is she gonna sound? I just found out that the girl who plays Barbara Keene is British.
Yeah, she is British.
I
She,
didn't know that.
she doesn't have
I
an,
heard
she
her-
doesn't use an accent.
I heard her talking in an interview. I was really thrown aback.
That's the best
In a
when,
good
like,
way.
when they're actors and they're from a different country and they don't use their accents. Like I always think about House. Because
Yeah.
House is British.
I always wonder if our accent's just that easy, because
Probably.
I do a pretty good British right here. But if you were actually British, you would like that. That's terrible. Why
Yeah.
would you even do that? But like most actors who come over and do an American accent, I'm like, that sounds like
We're all just that
Yeah.
dumb.
That's just, I don't know what it
We're
is.
just like, what actors? You guys are good.
Although if you've ever, there are a couple of times in Doctor Who where you'll hear a bad British or you'll hear a bad American accent.
Right.
Like a couple.
I think it depends on what part of Britain they're from.
That too.
In terms of how thick their accent is. But it's interesting too because like I always think again with House, the chase on House he wasn't Australian. He was faking an Australian accent. So it's like there's all these characters on this one show faking accents. Like, can't you guys just talk in your normal accent? The show would be equally as good. All right. So anyway, she's working the system, and we get information at the very end of this episode, which was like crucial, that she knows and saw who killed the Waynes.
Yeah.
But like, if I think about the episode, the guy had a mask on, and like, so was
She was standing behind him, right?
But did she see him
Yeah.
before the Waynes came? Because if he was in the alley waiting for the Waynes, then maybe she saw him get ready to kill her.
Probably.
I hope so, because she said I saw him clear as day, and I thought the same thing. I was like, she was behind him. He had a mask on. I didn't even know what the guy
Same.
looked
she
like.
could have been. I mean, she could have been lying.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
She could be deceiving. Like she obviously knows more than
What,
we
and she
know
knows, and she
right
knows
now.
about the Pepper thing too, where they went to the house, the Mario Pepper, and that didn't pan out, and that was a patsy and all that. So she knows a lot about what's going on for not knowing.
Well, that was in the papers though, because Mario Pepper was the big patsy. That was the big media.
Right.
That's who did it.
She's 13. Does she read the papers? I feel like she's just
What else
seeing.
is she? What else is she doing?
I mean,
just
she's
kinda
there. She's
sitting
in the
there by
thick of it. She's there when it happens.
What else is she doing?
What is she doing? She's just hanging.
Hanging
going
out at
on-
the coffee shop, reading the Gotham Gazette.
But going on your instinct comment, like she probably has the common sense to see things happen in separate times and separate events and connect everything. So maybe she saw the murder somewhere else, and I don't know, something happened where she ended up in the same area that the Waynes died and got shot, and she just made the connection somehow. But maybe she is lying. I kind of like that a little bit better.
I think she's lying about clear as day.
Yes.
But she has.
She did witness the murder.
She has
Stretching
enough
the truth.
She has enough information to give to Detective James Gordon that he'll be satisfied to not,
To let her go.
or to not send her
He
upstate.
could. She could help him no matter what, though.
Yeah.
She'll be able to help him whether she's lying or not.
So is there an alliance forming early on?
A little one.
Yeah.
So then, say hypothetically, an alliance is formed. Is there a point where Gordon does something that betrays Selina's trust and then breaks the alliance?
totally. That's
Yeah.
a total
Does
possibility.
he sells her out basically?
Or vice versa.
Because I think
And it would have to go the other way for her to go to the Catwoman side.
he's gonna get confused going back and forth between being good cop, bad cop, or what he sees as good cop, bad cop. So if he decides to be bad cop in Selina's eyes, what he thinks is gonna be good cop, she's gonna, turn her back on him. I mean, there's gonna be this conflict in Gordon that's gonna only get bigger and bigger.
The inner turmoil.
So
Yes.
maybe he'll also betray Bruce Wayne in some way.
Yeah.
No.
So he can become the Dark Knight.
So he can sit in his room with death metal on a little more.
I did like
really-
the little
I
moment though
enjoyed
where
that.
he's like, "Well, how can I help?" And he's like, "Can I give them money or something? Like,
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
them clothes?" Or
That's all he
Because in his
knows.
world, that's just like,
Let me just throw money at it and go away.
I'm genuinely compassionate about writing you a check and thinking
And-
I did good.
Yay!
That's what rich people do.
Yeah, exactly. So speaking of someone doing something compassionate, it was interesting that they threw that little moment in with Barbara Keene and her calling the Gazette and like, "Oh, by the way, there's all this stuff that the GCP doesn't want you to know about, and heads up." And then like that got the whole story out, got the mayor involved, and drove our plot basically. But
Yeah.
it was nice that she like had the gumption to just do it.
Yeah. Leave
Kudos
it to her.
Leave it to the ladies to
Oh, yes.
drop
To the
bombs on us.
ladies.
this
And
week.
I love how Bullock was telling Gordon to start to control his lady. He's like, "I like her just the way she is. Thank you very much."
Well, I
You're a
think this,
monkey riding a racehorse.
absolutely. In the show, we definitely have more strong female characters than
Yeah.
we have male characters. Think about Mooney, and like all the people that work for her are all male, and definitely this week with Selina Kyle, and what she's doing and controlling, and also with Barbara. And then we also have Montoya. So there are a good chunk of women in this. Essen
Yeah.
as well, Captain Essen.
Yeah.
Kudos to
Go
you women.
ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. More so than the men, I think, really, at this point, other than Jim.
Yeah.
A little
for
bit.
the most part.
Disagree? Go on, I dare you.
Don't
Do
you
it.
dare.
Do it, I dare you. All right, do we have anything else we want to cover
I think
on this week? I think we did a good job, right?
Yeah.
I think we're getting the high sign from the booth.
Yeah.
Like we're running out of time here. But before we go any farther, and we want to give everyone their favorite part of the show, it's our time for our AfterBuzz TV predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV
I just like saying that. Predictions.
I love in a lull we all just like move our papers.
Shuffle papers and like a ghost.
My reams of notes.
So we saw a little bit next week. Cobblepot back in town. What do we think is going to happen next week, Monse? You were on it. Like, I could tell. I could see you like inching up and ready
and
to
it
go.
was funny as I wanted to talk about Cobblepot. Yeah, I was gonna say even before we saw the previews for the next episode that he was gonna come back because I think when Fish Mahoney said, "I wish he was still alive," that just foreshadowing. So I was like, it's gonna happen already because if not, then she would have said that this episode. Maybe would have waited in a few episodes. So I think he's gonna come back. But Fish isn't gonna know he's back until maybe the very end of the episode. It's gonna be something where it's like either it leads into the following episode, but Fish doesn't know it yet that he's still alive. Possibly not even in the next
So I'm
episode.
going to pose a question to you since we're talking about Cobblepot and Fish coming together. Do you see a future alliance where he, as a villain, proves himself, joins together with her in the aspect of overthrowing Falcone later down the road for her overall power struggle?
To be honest, I don't trust Fish Mahoney. I don't trust what she will say to him. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. I don't trust what she would say, even if it does. She pretends that there's going to be some sort of alliance. Any minute she'll turn her back.
I think she's going to try to form an alliance for her own sake, for her own protection, for her own jobs. But I think he's going to prevail and kind of take control over her in a way where, she's going to start getting in trouble with Falcone and all this stuff.
So does really him being Cobblepot forming an alliance with Falcone become the reason that Fish Mooney goes down?
Total possibility, because he's already kind of on her case.
Yeah.
He's already kind
And
of
he's
like...
the one that Cobblepot's the one that gave the information.
Yeah, I
too.
don't think she's
Yeah.
gonna trust him again.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a matter of by the time she finds him, he's gonna have information that she can't kill him.
Yeah.
She can't torture him. He's gonna have information to feed this bigger web. That what he'll always lack in physicality, he'll have in just
mental ability.
Mental ability and just information and understanding the chess game that a lot of the people around him don't know they're playing.
Totally.
Yep.
Steve, what do you think is going to happen on next week's episode then? Time for you to predict.
Yes, it sounds like we're going to have a vigilante.
Well, I think so.
Have no idea who. I'm excited about that. I think I'm worried that it's a little early. That it's like it's been 3 weeks and all of a sudden, like, oh, we're going to have a vigilante. Also next week, more Barbakeen.
Hope so.
I'm
hoping for it. Been hoping for it since day one.
We have a fan.
Yeah.
Duh.
And over time, I think I kind of said that like episode 8, we're going to have this big all-out war, probably right before the Christmas break. And then someone's going to come out on top of the whole city. And there's going to be next to nothing Gordon can do about it.
Yeah.
Is my theory, is that just he's going to be a cog in a wheel way far away from the people who are actually running his city.
Joyce?
I said this earlier that Laszlo's going to come back because I did some really quick looking up after I heard his name in the show this episode. And Laszlo Valentin in the stories is Professor Pig, who we see in the next episode. He was kind of in a brief previews that we saw. He's got that weird pig mask on, and he's got an army of Dollatrons who have doll masks surgically attached to their faces, so they're kind of like crazy. He's like one of the creepiest villains in the Batman stories. Wow. So it'd be cool to see him and see how he ties into maybe the Penguins' schemes and stuff. So that'll be interesting.
Partnership.
I liked Laszlo. He was cute.
He was cute.
He was. Super cute.
But he's not cute anymore.
He still could be cute. He just now has a pig face.
No.
No? Okay.
Nah.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to our AfterBuzz TV Gotham Episode 2 podcast.
Yes.
Can I get some music?
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Hey, Steve, why don't you tell the people where they can find out more about you?
You guys can find me at Steve Kaufmann. That's Kaufmann. I also host the Modern Family After Show here on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Joyce?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JAJOURI, and on the Tuesday night Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast and the every other Sunday night Sailor Moon podcast.
Every other Sunday. Monse?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Monse Bolanos, MonseBolanos. I also do the Scorpion podcast on Monday nights too.
And as always, you can find me at RyanHooks92 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. Thank you guys. We'll catch you next week. Later.
Thank you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.